Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Shanti 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 Sakhana Vavatu Sakhana Bhunaktu Sakha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navathitamastu Ma Vitvishavakai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam, everyone. So, as announced, today's class is on Śikṣā, or the science of pronunciation. So we will have, like, let's say, half an hour discussion, or let's say presentation on the rules. And then on the second part, we will stop streaming to YouTube, and then we will practice Shiva Sutrani. We will practice the pronunciation of the syllables, and we are open for any questions. But let us start with a short presentation. I will now share my screen. Okay. Opa, sorry. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I found
Okay.
also some more mistakes.
No worries. Okay, so let us start with this verse from Śikṣā, from Taittiriya Aranyaka, from Krishna Yajurveda. This is the opening verse. And it is said, we will expound Vyakyasyamaha, the science of pronunciation, or Śikṣā. So, and this Śikṣā consists of 6 limbs. So we will expound firstly Varna, or the letters, or the sounds. Then Svara. Svara are called notes or pitch. Then we will continue with Matra, which is duration of the syllables. Then there is Balam. Balam means the force. And then we will continue with Sama. Sama is certain, let's say, rules how to link the notes. And we will conclude with Santana. Santana is continuity. So please go on mute. I do not have, just a second. Okay, I'll do that. Okay. And then we will actually speak about certain special sounds like Visarga and the changes of Visarga and Anusvara. And also we will at the end discuss the specifics of Rigvedam chanting in Kanchi style. But let us start first from the basics. So the letters are formed from different locations of the vocal apparatus. And this Varna actually represents correct pronunciation of Sanskrit letters. There are 15 vowels and 36 consonants. And as I said, special rules apply for the pronunciation of Anusvara. This is M. with a dot, right? And Visarga, this aha, this H dot down. So with regards to vowels, we are saying, or we are actually dividing them into the simple vowels and compound vowels. So simple vowels can be short or long. So for the short vowels, we use the term hrasva, and for the long, we use the term dirgha. So for example, a, I, u, r, l. So those are shorts, so a, I, u, r, and the long ones are a, I, u, r, l. Okay, this is quite simple. Later on, when we will speak about matra or duration of the sound, we will say that this hrasva is 1 unit of time, a, and dirgha, a, is 2 units of time in terms of duration, so double as much. And in compound vowels, so this is when actually two simple vowels join together, and then it forms those 4 compound vowels, a, I, o, au, and all of these are long. And please note that there is no special horizontal line above these letters, even though they are the same dirghams, like a, I, u, r, l, but just without this horizontal line above those letters. Okay. Okay, now we go to explore further the vowels. There are semi-vowels. So there are not, of course, complete vowels. There are ya, ra, la, va, only 4 of them. Ya is palatal, ra is retroflex, la is dental, and va is labiodental. So why ya is palatal? Because of the place of articulation. When we say ya, we are touching with our tongue the hard palate. That's why it is palatal. Ra, we are lifting up the tip of the tongue and touching the hard palate. That's why it is called retroflex, right? Or cerebral, because we are pointing toward the brain, cerebrum, right? So that's why it is retroflex. La is dental, because we are touching with our tip of the tongue the back of our frontal teeth. And va, labiodental, because we are touching our lips, right? So va, with our teeth. So very self-explanatory, right? And then we have sibilants or fricatives. So those are sha, sha, sa, the same, divided by the place of articulation. Sha is palatal, sha is retroflex, and sa is dental. So when you actually pronounce those syllables, you should feel where is your tongue, placed when pronouncing these syllables, right? So be conscious of that, because this is very important. A bit later, we will discuss about consonants. So and the phonetic changes which are happening there. So we need to be aware from which part of our vocal apparatus those sounds are formed. And then we have ha. Ha is also velar, because when we say ha, we are actually feeling that the base of the tongue is touching the soft palate in this case. And why it is voiced? Because we are producing a force when we actually form this guttural fricative sound, and it is also called on that table aspirated sound, right? So this is another form which can be another, let's say, term you can use. So you can say unvoiced, which is sha, sha, sa, like here, and there are voiced like hak, velar, or you can also say there are aspirated or unaspirated sounds, like in this table of consonants. And this is now very important, especially this last column here, because all the changes actually will happen here. So there are 5 different classes of consonants. Velar, ka, kha, ga, kha, nga. So when we pronounce this nga, like this is like anunasika, right? So those last column are called anunasika or nasal sounds. We are actually pronouncing this not as a labiodental N, like this, let's say, or this is like the pure dental N. It is nga. So we are actually lifting up the base of the tongue, pressing the soft palate, right? And we usually, when we will chant, we usually chant a letter G, just denoting that this is actually a nasal velar sound. So we are pronouncing ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, nga. So this G sound G, should be like inserted, just because we are actually pronouncing this anunasika correctly. Then we have palatal group of consonants, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. So you can also see why palatals, right? So velars, this is the soft palate, palatal, palatum durum or hard palate. And you see here, those second in a pair is aspirated or voiced, right? So cha, in Balam, it is called Mahaprana, right? So we need to actually really voice these letters. Cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. Then the third group of consonants are called cerebral. So this is just what I said, in the previous slide. It can be called retroflex or cerebral sounds. Why cerebral? Because the tip of the tongue is pointing upwards towards the brain, right? So it is ta, tha, da, dha, na. Okay, na. We will actually practice all this pronunciation offline. And then the pure dentals are ta, tha, da, dha, na. Right? This is very simple. But please do not forget to pronounce these mahapranas. Tha, dha, right? And then labial or bilabial, should I say, pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So both lips forming those sounds are, helping to form those sounds, right? So these are those 5 main groups of consonants, okay? Okay, and now, okay, super. Okay, now we are going to actually, I will going to chant this Shiva Sutrani part. So Nandikeshvara described Shiva Sutras, right, in a verse known as Nandikeshvara Karika. In this particular verse, so when actually Lord Nataraja was dancing, and after finishing the dance, Shiva played Damaru, so the drum, 14 times for the siddhi and salvation from desire of Sanaka and other rishis. So this is very, very, very interesting that Shiva himself gave Sanskrit letters, Sanskrit alphabet, to the rishis to grant them siddhi and salvation from desire. This is so nice, right? And in this way, all of the alphabet appeared as 14 Shiva Sutras. And for the, let's say, practice aspect of it, they are grouped like this. You can see those half sounds in the last, let's say, It's not a column because it's not, you cannot, okay, so each sound at the end of the row is actually half unit of time, right? So I will now chant and afterwards we will practice. So, a, I, un, r, k, eong, I, ouch, hayavarat, lan, nyamanga, nanam, jhabhany, gadhadash, jabagadadash, kha, pa, cha, ta, ta, chatatav, kapay, shashasar, hal. So this is how it should sound. So you have these 14, let's say, Shiva Sutras grouped in those 14 rows, organized like that for actually, and actually it is a good practice. For example, this 7th row, Nyamanga nanam. So you can see how we are changing in those 6 syllables. How we change, just a second, someone got unmuted, okay. How we change our place of articulation, right? I mean, not our, but syllables places of articulation. So nya, so for nya, we said it is the second class of consonants. So when we are pressing the soft palate, nya, nya, ma, bilabial, nga, guttural, na, retroflex, na, dental, and also bilabial again. So nyamanga, nanam, etc. So we will actually practice that. Okay. Now, so this is regarding the varna or the sounds, the letters. And now we are going to explore the accent or pitch, svara. So svara represents different intonations of those sounds, right? So we have svarita. Svarita is higher note, which is actually represented by a vertical stroke. You see, vertical stroke. So vertical line or stroke. So this is svarita. So we have 3 different accents. This svarita is the higher note. So bha, ga, va. So those 3 syllables are middle tones, and te is up, right? So it is bhagavate, bhagavate. Then the second is anudata, is the lower note, indicated by a horizontal line below the syllable. This one. Just a second, I will use the pointer. Okay, so that one. Urudraya, urudraya. So this dra or ra is anudata. And anudata, as noted here, is represented by this horizontal line below the vocal A or A. So rudraya. And then we have a neutral note, namo udata it is called. So like this bhagava, like rut and ya. So namo is the neutral note. And we have so-called delayed svarita. So svarita is up here. We said svarita is the higher note, but we also have delayed svarita or dirgha svarita, indicated by 2 vertical strokes, like this, right? So it is prachodayat. So the most common ending of Krishna Yajurveda mantras, right? So we have delayed svarita, so delayed upper tone. Prachodayat, prachodayat. So first we need to respect the length, or let's say, so we said that there is a dirgham here, right? When we actually explore the first rule or the letters. So first we need to actually obey the duration of the syllable. Ya is double unit of time, and then we are actually lifting up only the vocal. Prachodayat. Okay? So, Svarita, Anudata, Udata, and Dirgha Svarita. Those three basics and one, let's say, modification. Those are accents. Now, rule number 3 of 6 is matra. Very simplified. 1 unit of time, a, I, u. 2 units of time, a, I, u, o, e. So this is what I said at the beginning. So hrasvam, dirgham. So 2 units of time, a, I, u, o, e. These are compound syllables, compound, not consonants, but or
Yes, vowels. Also, there are missing au and I.
Au and I, yes. Also mentioned at the beginning when we speak about so-called vocals. And then there is a half unit, k, g, t. So in Shiva Sutrani, those are those endings, you know, last sounds in the line. Okay. Now, rule number 4, force of recitation or balam. Also, I mentioned that. So unvoiced or voiced or aspirated or unaspirated. So alpa prana are those unvoiced, unaspirated. A, I, O, Ka, Ga, Cha, Da, Ta. But mahaprana sounds are those who are voiced or aspirated. Kha, Gha, Cha, Dha, Tha, Dha. Right? Okay. Rule number 5, linking of accents or sama. So this is continuity, right? Our chanting should be done in a continuous way, and we should link all those different syllables according to phonetic changes, so that actually it sounds uninterrupted and like in one flow. So the recitation should sound continuous. And what is the biggest challenge always is that the same bass pitch must be maintained from the start till the end of recitation. So this is something, especially when we chant in a group, this is something that it comes, you know, with a lot of practice and a lot of group chanting. And then the last, but not least, is continuity or Santana rule. So those are the stops or the places where we need to pause. Of course, some are logical, but this one all we tend to, you know, somehow forget, and then we tend to breathe in the middle of the word, right? So please don't do that. Don't spread the word into two by taking the breath. Okay. Of course, after Om, we are giving a slight pause. And also, the pause should be given between recitation of one mantra and the next. So this is actually something which is very common and logical. But here is something that is very oftenly omitted in many. I don't know. I mean, in many schools, I would say. But I think for the beauty of the chant, we should really follow this rule, and we are really following it. You know. And this is when we have two vowels. When we have vowels following a dirgham. Sorry, when we have two vowels and one is dirgham, for example, namaste, and then the following is hrasvam, right? So namaste astu dhanvane. So we need to actually pause by, I would say, maybe even 2 units of time. Yo rutro agnauyo, apsuya oshadhishu. So only when there is those red vertical line, we should really pause long enough. So, and this happens only in the case when there is a dirgham following with the hrasvam. So we are here speaking about the vowels, right? Namaste, astu dhanvane, yo rutro, agnau yo, apsuya. And then when in any other combination of the vowels, we should also mark a pause, but this pause is very short. Whether there is hrasvam following by dirgham or there are two hrasvam sounds, whatever, but only we should pause substantially when we have those red lines in our marked in our text. So this is something that we just agreed to mark in our text, just for us to know that in these places we should take a longer pause, but in these places we are not actually taking more of a pause, but we are also not chanting like this. Apsuyao, yao. So this is just to separate ya and o. Apsuyao. So yao, it should be a break, not a long one, but we should not actually chant yao, right? We should not actually connect those two vowels. So you will see also, for all of you who are new to our group, you will see those markings as well. So now we actually finished those 6 limbs of Śikṣā, and there are, of course, a couple of special sounds with their own specific rules, and I'll try to actually briefly cover it, because this is something that we use not so often. First couple of changes of Anusvara. So Anusvara is this M with the dot, and Anusvara is pure nasal. It means that actually this sound is formed only in nasal cavity or nasika, right? Without any air modification in the oral cavity. But we could call the pure Anusvara only this one, Shuddha Anusvara. So only before the consonant pairs jna or gna. So samgnanam imam ghanti. So in these cases, this Anusvara stays without any changes, and it is a pure nasal sound. Samgnanam imam ghanti. Okay, only before those two consonant pairs. Then we have Agamanusvara. Agamanusvara, which means literally inserted G sound, inserted G. And we also, only find this change in the Krishna Yajurveda text. So if we have Anusvara before sh, and s, for example, Tesham Sahasra, then it is changed into Teshagam. So we have actually inserted this G sound. So that's why it is called Agamanusvara. Then before H and R, same thing. Ganapati Gam Havamahe. So in Ganapati Pradhana, very common change when we chant, right? Ganapati Gam. So in the text, it can be Ganapatim, but we should chant Ganapati Gam, right? Because there is no representation in a written form of this Agamanusvara, right? So that's why we have inserted here in superscript next to the Anusvara, we have inserted this Gum sound. So when you always when you find in our text certain sound in superscript, then this is the way how it should be pronounced. Okay. So sh, s, h, and r. We have these changes of Anusvara into Gum, Agam Anusvara. Then what is next is Lupta. Lupta means omitted. So we are omitting what? Agam Anusvara. So we are omitting this G sound. we are omitting anusvara as a sound. So, for example, when we have combination anusvara plus sh, s, h plus non-vowel, in those two cases, for example, kalpatam shrotram, then it is kalpatag shrotram. So it's not gum anymore. So that's why this m sound we are omitting, right? So no m sound. Kalpatag shrotram. Jyotim shyavarundhe, jyotig shyavarundhe, right? So the same thing. So we need to have this combination of those letters following with the non-vowel. So r, and in this case epsilon or y, right? So this m sound is omitted. Only we have agama nusvara, but the m sound is lupta or omitted. Then we have dvirbhuta lupta. So we are getting even more complicated. Dvirbhuta means that we are actually duplicating this agama nusvara, duplicating the G sound, but also without the M sound. When there is a short vowel a, u, e, the G sound is duplicated after lupta agama nusvara change. So, for example, you see this example we had tvam hyagne. So first, actually, we said h sound plus the non-vowel. It means that we need to actually change this anusvara into g. So it is tvag hyagne. But then before this lupta anusvara, there is a vowel, short vowel. So it means that we need to duplicate this g. So it is tvag g hyagne. But this is very rare, and I'm just I saw this maybe once or twice in certain texts. So, but I just mention it because this is according to the phonetic changes of anusvara. But what is the most common is this fifth actually group of changes, so to speak, which is very, very common, and we are implementing it big time. So when anusvara meets the consonants, so these are the consonants groups, as discussed on the part of consonants. These consonants changes into nasal sound according to their places of articulation. Maybe it looks a bit, let's say, complicated, but actually it's not. So whenever you will see anusvara before this anusvara sound changes into their nasal representation of the each class, right? And now you will see the example, so it will be a bit clearer. So, for example, these soft palatals, ka, ga, nga. So when there is anusvara before those groups of consonants, like in this case, ishum girishanta, we cannot chant ishum girishanta because of this rule of continuity, right? Santana. So we are then actually changing this anusvara into nasal pair, which is actually the last sound in those groups of consonants. In this case, in velars, let us see. Okay, velars. This is anga, so we need to change this anusvara into ng. So it is ishung girishanta. Then palatals, cha, cha, ja, cha, nya. So this nya is the nasal sound anunasika for that particular group of consonants. So when we have anusvara before any of these sounds in this particular group, purusham jagat, like in this example, we need to actually change this anusvara into their nasal pair, which is ny, purushany jagata. Shanchame in Rudram, for example, right? Shamcham, because if we would chant shamchame, shamcha, shamcha, it's not natural, right? So we need to actually adjust to get this beautiful flow of chanting, this continuity, right? So it is Purushany Jagata Shanchame. And then the same with cerebrals. So cerebral group, ta tha da dha na. So when we have anusvara before t, it is changed into the nasal pair, which is n. So tan, 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 tan. Because if we would chant tam tan, we will break our tongue, right? So that's why tan tan, tan tan. Okay. And then for the dental group is yam dvishmas, ta ta dha dha na. We see that the nasal pair is n, so we need to change into n. So the pure dental, yan dvishmas. Ganana antva, right? The same thing here. Ganana tva, not ganana mtva, right? It's not natural. And then the last group of consonants labials, papha, babha, ma, esham, purushanam. Practically, there is no change because we are just actually omitting this dot, and actually this anusvara, which is, let's say, nasal, became bilabial sound, esham, purushana, because those are labials, right? This is the most important and the most common change, and I think that that you understand, and this is something to be practiced as well. And all those changes in our text are also denoted with the not the red one, but with the blue one, with the blue color, blue and italic color. You will see in our text later on. Okay, and then what about Visarga? So this is the second special character. So we have H dot down, Visarga. So Visarga remains unchanged when followed by K or K. So Tah. So and also and all these Visarga sounds are aspirated or voiced, right? Tah, Kanyach, Tah. And it should be pronounced, this Mahaprana, Tah. Visarga followed by P or P may change to F sound. Usually it does, and you can really hear this change in, when Pandits are chanting. So you see Punah P, it is changed into Punaf Punah. So this, again, for your reference, this F is in superscript, so this Visarga is changing into F sound. But why didn't we, let's say, just put an F sound? Because there is not a common, way to actually write these down as such. Neither this is, but this is just to help ourselves to know that this Visarga, in that particular case, before P or P, it is changed into F. Punaf, Punaha. And then when it is followed by a sibilant, the fricatives or fricatives, sh, and or s, may change to that very same sibilant. Supta shishuhu, supta shishuhu. So in the text, actually, you can this time write this change. Not here, but here, yes. In the text, you can find supta shishuhu, but if you find this in the text, this is not any wrongdoing, right? So, but before fricatives, Visarga changed into the same the following fricative. Ashvarshat, Ashvarshat, Prathama Sargaha, Pratamas Sargaha. Okay, and of course, whenever this change occur, we should not breathe in between those two words, right? So we said, of course, we should not breathe and separate it, the same word, I mean, the very word with the breath, but also whenever you have phonetic changes, this is just to smoothly connect those two words. So there is no sense to breathe in between as well, right? Please remember that. Okay, so now we are just very close to an end. This is the last set of rules. that it said that Visarga followed by ch, ch, t, 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 t may change to a sibilant or fricatives, right? So Visarga plus ch is sh. Visarga plus ch is sh. Plus t is ht. But you see how it is changed according to the place of articulation. You see, because this is retroflex or cerebral, that's why it's ht. So it is actually the fricatives which is following the place of articulation of the following consonant. Ht in that case as well. Then Visarga plus t becomes st, so dental, and str. Okay, I think this is very common. Śikṣā, shivach plus cha, śikṣā, right? Kurtharaich, tarikaischa. This is very, very rare, but still, when you have h plus Visarga plus t, dental, we need to actually pronounce it as s, right? Kurtharais tarikaischa, the second change, scha. The same here, Visarga plus t become st, right? Something very important I've noticed also when we chant Rudram, that there is certain people don't pause here. We need to actually obey this rule when Visarga is followed by Samyutakshara ksh, compound consonants, right? And then we need to actually echo it and pause it, right? So Shantih, Shantire, Shantihi, Shantihi, pause, Shantire, right? Shantihi. So it is like the echoing. So this vocal here is actually reflecting, and we need to pause. Shantihi. Okay. And now, Davor, would you like actually to take this part? I think this is maybe to. I think that you are bored now listening to me. Maybe to for the dynamic of this.
You're doing fine.
Yeah. I mean, I can do it. You can also do it. But I would just like to mention that Davor actually really did something fabulous. When we chant Rig Veda hymns in a Kanchi style, then we should apply certain rules. Rig Veda can also be chanted in a Sringeri style. Sringeri style is, Krishna Yajurveda style, and this is I would say commonly used way of chanting. But Kanchi is also certain tradition, and we thought that if we would learn how to chant Rig Veda in Kanchi style, then we would be able to really switch ourselves quite quickly when we would have our text in front of us, and we would know how to chant Sringeri with no many adjustments. So that's why we just wanted to understand why we actually took this Sri Kanchi Mat tradition, because it is used. It is something that also GRD IR's Gurukul is doing. So we actually we were taught from Rameshji that way. So we actually decided each Rig Veda chants to actually chant in this Kanchi style, right? And this is actually the most common change. And please, if you can just be a bit attentive here, it's again, it sounds a bit complicated, but actually it's not. So when we have the short vowel with a svarita, like here, short vowel, so hrasvam with svarita, so with this upper note accent, not followed by a holding or samyukta akshara, becomes extended in duration. So we don't have any holding here. Ru is not any samyukta akshara. So in that case, this svarita becomes elongated, right? And we denoted this elongation with the horizontal blue line. this is something that we added just to remember us that we should actually extend. So it is not purutra, it is purutra. Okay, so this is the difference between Sringeri and Kanchi style. Sringeri, purutra, Kanchi, purutra. Okay, this pu is elongated. Okay, and then svarita on a long vowel is chanted as dirgha svarita. Like in Krishna Yajurveda. So to be actually, because we have used on these Dirgha Svarita markings, so for convenience, we actually left it like this. But you know, this is also very important. So in this case, it should be nivato, right? So this is the common svarita on a long vowel. So on a vowel to, there is a svarita, and here is actually our, let's say, decision to make it easier to chant it as Dirgha Svarita in Krishna Yajurveda. Davor.
Yeah, Rig Veda is written without Dirgha Svaritas. But the Rig Veda is following strict rules, so let's say it was not important to notify Dirgha Svaritas. But for convenience, we put Dirgha Svaritas where they should be. When you see Rig Veda text without Dirgha Svaritas, then it means that you must know the rules, and the rules are that you must put Dirgha Svaritas when you have a long vowel, or you have a short followed by Anunasika, like in the following example. So those texts are not wrong; they are completely correct. Only they assume that there is a rule that regulates the use of Dirgha Svaritas. Only that.
Yeah. Okay. And then again, Anunasikas. So remember, Anunasikas are those last column in those 5 different types of consonants. The last columns are the nasal pair of each group. So nga, n, ny, and m. So when Anunasika Akshara is preceded by Hrasvam vowel with a Svarita, this Akshara has to be extended a bit and Svarita becomes Dirgha. For example, Jushtan, okay, Jushtan, like this. Okay, I mean, when you are attentive, then you will actually really, now I think that for those guys who are actually joining for the first time, I think it's a bit overwhelming because we are we are just progressing, from the simple pronunciation of the sounds. And I mean, after this Anuswaram part, I think that you had enough already. This is something that we also implemented just recently, so please don't bother now. I mean, you will get it. Especially now when I start to explain, ucha nicha, ucha nicha, as for Compass, I think you will be lost. But just for the sake of this lecture, I will continue. And this is actually the last part of changes of Kanchi style. Remember, Kanchi style. Sringeri is the same as Krishna Yajurveda, and so you are reading the Rig Vedic texts the same and chanting, the same as Krishna Yajurveda, but in Kanchi, this is actually the common changes. So those two you would not notice, but you should be attentive only, when see this blue line here, so you know that you should actually elongate this one, But what is this ucha? This is that not the acharya to whom Davor has spoken, and he used those term ucha. Ucha is nothing but udata, yeah, and nicha is anudata. So udata is ucha. So udata, anudata is this first undulation or kampa. So the first kampa is udata, anudata. Let us see immediately the example. And it is marked with this number 1, right? Devya akshabhihi. So this is how it is written in the text, and this is udata, anudata, uchanicha, what I just described. So when we see this number 1 here, this is the first kampa. It means that this syllable preceding the number is chanted in this udata way. So this is the mid-tone, right? So devya, devya, like here, right? Devya. And of course, it became elongated. This syllable here became elongated. Devya. And then the second one, akshabhihi. This a should be chanted, this actually syllable should be chanted as a lower note. Akshabhihi. So, devya akshabhihi. Devya akshabhihi. Okay, we didn't put here the red line, because this is not something that you will find in the text. We just actually put a marking that we need to pause here. And remember, we are getting here dirgham, and this is hraslam, so that's why the pause should be there, But first we start with udata, and then when we split this word, devyakshabhihi, 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 right? For example, the second example of the same kampa, devyu utvataha. Again, this u sound became elongated. Devyu, pause, and then anudata, udvataha. Okay, devyu udvataha. The same here, and then we will go further. So vrkyam. So this is a bit complicated because here we have anusvara in the whole picture. So vrkyam, vrkam. So we have here vrkya, and then anvrkam. So we haven't actually touched here this special pronunciation of the nasalized sound between v and epsilon, y. So when we have anusvara before v and epsilon sound, it should be chanted as nasalized sound, more nasalized sound. So anvrkam. So it's not amvrkam, but anvrkam. Yeah, now it's get really complicated. Okay, but okay, this is now where I will stop. So the last example of the first kampa or undulation change, vrkya. So we have this ya sound elongated in udata, so in the middle, vrkya, and then anvrkai, like here, because you see, you always actually take this consonant and you actually are finishing with the consonant and you are starting with the consonant when you split this word. Devya akshabhihi, devyu udvataha. But here, it's not vrkyam, it's vrkya. But then the consonant comes together with the anusvara in the second word. So it is vrkya, anvrkai. So it's not vrkyam, anvrkam. It's vrkya, anvrkai. Okay. Good. And then this is ucha, nicha, ucha, right? Ucha, nicha, ucha. Oh, sorry, nicha, ucha, nicha, which means anudata, udata, anudata. So this third undulation change is marked with the number 3. and it is chanted supravye. So after this dirgham sound, when you see number 3, so this ye or e, so only the vowel, should be chanted, let's say 3 times 2 units of time, because this is dirgham, which we are chanting in udata, anudata, udata way. So it is supravye and then yajamanaya. Okay, so this is those 3 e's or a's. Supravye yajamanaya vidyate. Okay, that's it. So now we will take it offline. I don't know how much time do we have left. Oh, we don't. Okay, so it is right on time. So maybe next time, next Monday. I think that Davor will be there. Davor, if you can be there next Monday, it will be perfect. And also Muktidara will be also there. So you will actually, Martin, if you can also join to just chant certain parts. So for example, I would say that we should start from the beginning, from this pure pronunciation of the Sanskrit sounds. And this is really the basics, right? So the vowels. So a, I, u, r, l, l, right? Compound vowels. A, I, O, au. So vara, lava, shashasa. So these are the retroflexes. And then this part, especially those aspirated sounds. Ka, ka, cha, cha, ta, ta, right? And then it would be very good that actually you try to actually practice. I have recorded myself somewhere. I need to find it. How I chant this. Maybe you can practice until the next time. I will chant once again, and then we will close this session. So, Om A I Urn Röldrök Eong I Auch Hayavarat Lan Nyamangananam Jabhany Gadhadash Jabagadadash Kapachatata Chatatav Kapay Shashasar Hal Om Shanti 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 Svasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Markena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Shri Sai Shvaraya Namaha Harihi Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste. Thank you very much for all of you who joined today. I will send this presentation and the audio recording of Shiva Sutrani. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much.
I made some corrections on the fly, so